Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Thursday, the 13th of January 2022. We're producing our regular morning update, providing prices, news, and economic data. Today we see gold and silver prices rising even higher as the US dollar takes a hit, and the global economy appearing, at least, to be more robust than anticipated. Let's take a look. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Thursday, the 13th of January 2022 at 12:21, early afternoon in the United Kingdom. The news today is perplexing. Perplexing because we are seeing that economies supposedly riddled by coronavirus and Omicron and Delta actually doing better than many predicted. And we're beginning to wonder why all the panic headlines. Now, we can see that France records more than 360,000 new COVID cases for a second day. But US equity futures rise as the dollar extends its decline. Let's take a little look at this. For Macron and France, it's the economy stupid. For 5 years, Emmanuel Macron has been fending off challenges from the fringes of mainstream French politics. Began in 2017 election runoff against a far-right nationalist Marine Le Pen. Continued through a showdown with the Yellow Vest protest movement and is culminating in a culture war clash with ultra-right-wing polemicist Eric Zemmour, who entered the race for the presidency in November. But as he seeks re-election in April, the president, who was nurtured in the top echelons of the French technocracy, has a potential knockout punch to throw: the robust economy. With polls showing that the French are veering right, Macron regularly gives nods to that part of the electorate. He has praised former President Nicolas Sarkozy for inciting a debate on national identity, hired a hardline interior minister, and gave an interview to a far-right publication in which he spoke about immigration and Islam. In turn, his star has faded among left-wing voters. But rather than becoming ensnared in confrontations about identity and immigration, Macron's most senior supporters are urging him to lean on his economic record. US equity futures rise as dollar extends its decline. US equity futures inched higher as investors digested the latest read on American inflation and assessed bets on timing for the first Federal Reserve rate increase in the pandemic era. Contracts in both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 rose modestly, with those on the tech-heavy NASDAQ outperforming. The pound advanced to its highest level since October 29th, despite calls for UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson to resign over a bring-your-own-bottle party at the height of a lockdown, meant to stem the first wave of coronavirus infections. The dollar extended its slide as a growing tide of investors bet the world's reserve currency has reached a peak, with expectations of Fed rate liftoff largely priced into the market. The greenback also underperformed all its group of 10 peers. We shall have a look at how the dollar is faring in a moment. BBC News. OVO Energy tells staff it'll cut 1,700 jobs. It's the third largest energy provider in the United Kingdom. Christmas sales soar for Marks and Spencer and Tesco, two of our most prominent stores. And Next cuts sick pay for some unvaccinated staff. US and Canada. The row growing now between Mitch McConnell and the president. Biden's speech unpresidential, says top Republican. Mitch McConnell says Mr. Biden's likening of Republicans to civil rights era racists is beneath his office. US prices rise at the fastest rate in nearly 40 years. Inflation jumped 7% in December, piling pressure on the US central bank to raise interest rates. And what is interesting here is the fact that inflation is rising faster than it has, as it says, for 40 years. Interest rate rises likely to happen sooner rather than later, and yet the dollar still falls. And looking at the dollar index, I shall refresh the page. We can see that it is down. It fell yesterday quite heavily, and it's down even today, but only marginally at 94.87. So it's below now that 95 level, which has been quite important. Energy prices marginally, one marginally down, the other unchanged. So we've got WTI crude at 82.54 and Brent crude at $84.67 a barrel. Equity markets, as alluded to in America yesterday, broadly up, not hugely, around 0.25%. Asia Pacific mixed bag again. Hang Seng doing the opposite to Tokyo and the Nikkei. So we've got the Nikkei down 1%, the Topix index down 0.75 nearly, and the Hang Seng marginally up 0.1%. A slightly mixed bag, although broadly to the negative, Europe and the UK. So what data was announced yesterday? Well, we can see that the consumer price index month on month for December came in at 0.5% against expectations of 0.4. Core CPI month to month is 0.6 compared with 0.5. Year over year for CPI, it's as expected, but still higher in December than November. And the core CPI year over year is higher at 5.5%, higher than expectations of 5.4, and higher than the November rate at 4.9. And of course we have the federal budget, which came in at minus $21 billion. Now today we have initial jobless claims and the producer price index. All this will add to the growing level of evidence to support more active action by the Fed in terms of potential rate increases and reducing its balance sheet. But tomorrow is the major data: retail sales and industrial production. Now, gold and silver have performed well because of the weakening dollar, and we can see today even the world gold price is up $7 at $1,825. On the silver front, we can see that silver has also performed well, up 47 cents today at $23.25. And we asked yesterday, when it was below $23, could it actually hit 23? And this is what it's done. One, because of the fall in the value of the dollar, and two, because now of an increasing acceptance but that perhaps the global economy is not going to be quite so adversely affected by Omicron as many first thought. And as we have said, that when the economy builds, then we will see silver prices rise. We're not there quite yet, but let's watch this space. Cryptocurrency markets also up 1.8% over the day, and we now have a market cap of $2.07 trillion. That's it for now. We'll finish there. Let's wait for the economic data tomorrow particularly, which will give us quite a good guide of where we can see gold and silver prices over the coming few weeks. As we mentioned a week ago, normally their prices rise at the start of the new year. They didn't, they fell, but they're starting to recover. Let's see if we get this fillip, which is quite possible. But then the key question is, what happens when rate rises are imminent? Thank you so much for listening. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign. Until tomorrow. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.